Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Turnpike Titans podcast. As always, I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Vinny and Jarrett. After a long month of waiting, the Tennessee Titans are back in the win column. I think that deserves a nice round of applause. All right, Titans are back. And Ryan Tannehill did not throw an interception. That's another one. We're making progress, folks. So yeah, a lot to be happy about, some stuff to still be a little upset about, but as I do each week, I will give it to the two of you first. Jarrett, start us off, instant reactions to the 20-0 victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, like I said, guys, yesterday, it was great to be back in the win column. The defense balled out as usual before we left 2 weeks ago. It felt like a long 2 weeks since we all needed it at that break. We wanted the defense to come out with pressure, and they pressured the shit out of Lawrence, I would say. Forcing, I think, was it 3 sacks and 4 interceptions.
Yes, sir.
So, the defense is in the right direction. So I'm not worried about that, especially with Dupree and the addition of Cunningham, which we'll touch on later on probably. And hopefully with the addition of Long coming back this week, I think we're heading the right way. But on the offense, like everybody says, they bash me on Twitter all the time for saying, the offense is sluggish. Yesterday, the offense was sluggish at times, but no one seems to argue with, Buck Rising or Austin Stanley when they say shit like that. But, the offense is sluggish. So
we don't have that clout yet. All right. Give it some time.
What's up?
We don't have the same clout as Buck Rising yet. So
I know, but like still, when we're in the red zone and I say, hey, how about throwing a fade to Julio Jones for Christ's sakes, or I don't even give a shit. How about, throw a fade to Nick Westbrook-Akina? We're at the 20. Throw it up just once. That's all I'm asking. And then people go crazy. But, it is what it is. But yesterday, all in all, I'm happy to be back in the win column, but the offense needs to start rolling a little bit now. So we'll see.
Finn?
Yeah, well, I think that we all need to pray at night sometimes for the Jacksonville Jaguars that they are in our division, because nothing helps get you right like playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's, obviously we needed that win yesterday. I am more than satisfied with the defense. A shutout, I don't care who you're playing. I really don't. I don't really care what level of sport you're playing, whether it's soccer, hockey, football. To pitch a shutout in any level of any sport, in my opinion, is very impressive, let alone the NFL. Oh, yeah. But it's clear the Jacksonville Jaguars are falling apart from top to bottom. But fuck it, I don't care. A win is a win is a win. We shut them out. We look good. Looked like we had a little bit of our swagger back. Our offense, it's touch and go. We'll get into that, I'm sure, later on. Obviously, you can't love the performance, but, we still put up, 20 points. Our defense put us in, good positions, but I'm glad that we responded well off the bye. And, I would have been really worried if we had to eke that one out, if we had to sweat it out, but we didn't. Even though the game was only, 10-0 at halftime, it seemed as though we controlled the whole game. It didn't seem like they ever really had a chance. But, it was a get-right game. And as time goes on, we are going to get healthier, knock on wood. And, it's on to Pittsburgh now.
Yeah.
Your thoughts, Cousin Sal?
Basically mirroring a lot of what you both said. Defense was really, really exciting to see. They definitely took advantage of every minute of that bye week. They looked fresh. They looked ready to go. Jeffrey Simmons definitely seemed like he started to gear up again to the way he was, I would say, before Houston during that stretch. The corners looked excellent. Fulton looks like he's really getting warmed up now. So overall, I'm very happy and satisfied with the defense. Offense, if you follow me on Twitter, you know that I'm still not very satisfied with the play calling.
If you follow all of us on Twitter, you're
any of us, really. You know what? It's just in my head, because outside of three of us, it seems like the entire fan base, not really, actually. I think a lot of people actually do agree with us, but
handful.
The people that don't are so vocal about it that it just feels like, they don't really like the Titans can do no wrong according to them. But regardless, I'm not sold on Downing. I'm very nervous that he's going to make a decision that is going to possibly cost us our visions of a title. But again, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt next week until he really, really does make a decision that costs us the game. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Offensive line was atrocious. We'll definitely have our weekly segment where Vinny goes off on Lawan, even though I think he was probably the better of all evils of the offensive line yesterday. But that's not really,
I really wore this just to troll him. You know,
he's rocking his run left. But go ahead.
He actually was one of the best. He had one QB hit and one hurry. That was it yesterday.
Yeah. So, but you know, that's not saying a whole lot. They were just bad. They were really bad.
Yeah.
Tannehill continues to get absolutely crushed. It's basically a miracle this guy hasn't been hurt this year. He's the most sacked quarterback in the league.
Don't fucking say that too loud.
Knock on wood, baby.
Knocking, baby. Knock on wood if you're with me. No, not shouting out John Gruden by any means, but anyway. So yeah, offensive line's got to get right. They got to get better. It's not like we're pretty much at full strength with the exception of the disaster at right tackle. Ben Jones is in there. Saffold was only on one knee twice yesterday, so that deserves a round of applause as well.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, they got to get better. But all in all, promising. This was the game we needed out of the bye. Our little brothers of the division who get spanked each year. They've only won one.
They're not even the little brothers, though. They're the adopted stepchild that, they're like FedEx. Have you ever seen Cheaper by the Dozen? They're the kid they call FedEx. If there was relegation in football like there is in soccer, they would be like in the MAC. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they are an absolute dumpster fire. Urban Meyer, I can only imagine how many visions of young women he had in his head yesterday because that's
he was
really
probably
He probably stayed in Nashville last night and got his willy wet and maybe went back to Jacksonville this morning.
Dude, even when he got onto the field and they were showing pregame, that guy looked like he had no intentions of being there. And it was even worse after the game too.
Yeah, it was bad.
He'll pull some shit soon to get out of there, some health issue or mental whatever the fuck. But I never liked him in college. He's not a fraud. Obviously, he can win, but I think he's one of those guys when the going gets tough. If things aren't going his way, he really acts the way he's been acting lately.
Yeah, for sure. But all in all, again, you shut a team out. Even the biggest pessimist on earth, which I include myself in that category, you can't really say too much bad as a whole for this football team. But as we always do each week, we're going to get into our tighten up, tighten downs, or however you want to call it, heroes, villains. Jarrett, why don't you start us off? Who do you think the shining star of the day was? A lot of options to pick from, if you ask me, but who would you give your game ball to?
Game ball, I mean, there is a lot. I was struggling with this all day, thinking about it today. I mean, I would think Jeffrey Simmons. He had 4 hurries, he had a sack, he got back into form. The defense, everything. So I would go him with the positive. And honestly, I have no idea who I would call. In a game like this, everyone played well. I mean, the offensive line, if you want to talk as a group, as a tighten down, if you want to throw somebody in there as a bad guy, it'd be Quisenberry. Well, I mean, that's what I would go with. But as a group in a whole, I know we're not supposed to do this. You want players? I'm going to go offensive line.
No, you can. You definitely can. I mean, they were an absolute joke. Really, they were. Vin?
I'm going to show some love to Buster Screen as our tighten up. He's kind of come in and, I was never really a huge fan of him, previously before he was on the Titans. But from what I'm reading on Twitter, he's been extremely, attentive in meetings, learning terminology, the verbiage. He got an interception yesterday. And depth in the secondary. I mean, you can never have too much depth in the secondary, especially for Titans fans, where we know before these last few years how, the Bleedy Ray Wilson days, how fucking bad our secondary was. So to have a little depth in the secondary now will show him some love. Looks like he's getting his legs under him. And then I'm going to back off the offensive line this week. And I was showing him a lot of love when he was doing good, so I got to hate on him when he's doing bad, and I worry about it when the playoffs come. Randy Bullock, he's missing kicks, it seems, every game now. In my opinion, anything 45 or under in the NFL should be a fucking gimme. You know what I mean? There's 32 people in the world who have NFL kicking jobs, so you need to make the chip shots. There's no excuse. It's not like there was an issue with weather or this or that.
No, there's no wind at all.
Yeah, nothing. So he worries me a little bit because we know what he was in the past with Cincinnati. He was pretty dog shit. And, it seems like after that video, after the game we won, I forget which one, where Vrabel told him, you have a home here now. I think he got a little comfortable at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and listen, I'm not trying to nitpick. He did make a field goal as well, but he missed one. He's missed one in previous weeks, and nobody wants to admit it, but when it comes down to it, it's a pretty fucking important position. Games are won and lost on the legs of kickers. So he needs to get better. I mean, obviously, I think we're going to stick with him at this point. We have no other option, but he needs to regain that confidence he had when he was making, game winners early on in the season. So he needs to get his little chubby ass right before, we start calling for new kickers, before I have to get a fucking tryout over there.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, kicking is super important. You can make an argument the Ravens won't even be in a playoff spot right now if it wasn't for Justin Tucker. I mean, he's carrying that team every time they call his number. He goes out there and he hits kicks left and right like he can do it in his sleep, and he can. And that's why he's the best in the world. For me, I would say my number one yesterday would be Kevin Byrd. I mean, he really turned it up. He really is one of the biggest leaders of this football team. He was all over the ball. And just like all of us do, we can critique people all the time, but when they perform well, you got to give them their props. And I was hard on him over the past 12 months. Or I would say this whole year, I've pretty much been on his side, but last year I definitely gave him my fair share of criticism, but he's really turned it around and he's turning into the best safety in the league once again. As far as my most negative player, I'd have to maybe, I don't know, I'd probably give it to Quisenberry. He was just really, really fucking bad. I mean, he got bombarded yesterday on damn near every down. So they got to figure it out at right tackle, whether that be just adding more tight ends in there to help the protection or whatnot. But
we got a Dennis Kelly sighting last night. We haven't mentioned him in a few weeks.
Let me tell you something. He looks like he put on some muscle weight. Okay, last night he looked bigger, somehow looked taller. I don't know if it's the green on him or what.
It's the yellow, the green and yellow.
But he looks like he's in the best shape of his life. And of course, anytime you're protecting Aaron Rodgers, you're going to look good because that guy's an escape artist, no matter what. Yeah. He's so sneakily athletic, and he just had a masterful game yesterday. But anyway, yeah. So I would probably give it to Quisenberry. He's got to figure it out. Moving on, one thing we have not touched on because we've been gone for 2 weeks. Titans got a very, very nice addition to their roster about a week ago. Zach Cunningham somehow fell to us on the waiver wire, and we were able to claim him. Definitely one of, if not the most athletic linebacker, one of the most athletic linebackers in the league. Strong, huge wingspan, fast. And
he's a natural. He's very natural at his position.
Yeah, just a natural athletic guy who just got a fairly decent deal last year. We can hold on to him until the 2024 season, and we also have a way out after this year. So that's an even better situation for us to be in. But I don't foresee that happening. Knows Vrabel.
Yeah, that's a Vrabel guy for sure.
Yeah, knows Bowen a little bit. So what?
Especially because you got to think Jayon and Rashawn could be gone next year.
Yeah, we talked about this last time too. Definitely Rashawn. I don't know yet on Jayon. Would that that'd be depth? But imagine having Jayon and Long and Cunningham, all three of those guys as a big rotation. That'd be huge.
And Monty Rice maybe in the second year
on a cheap. He's on a cheap rookie deal too. Hell yeah.
The more I hear from trusted individuals that cover Tennessee, it really seems that they're going to want to stick with the tandem of Long and Monty Rice with the addition of Cunningham. So maybe Jayon Brown takes another 1-year deal because he hasn't been playing up to his potential this year, but I don't foresee that happening.
He had a nice play yesterday. Let's give props when props are due. He had an interception.
Yeah, a very nice I don't know, was it him or Evans that basically was one-handed interception?
Both of them.
I think it was
both of them.
Yeah, they were both very, very athletic interceptions. The ball was not thrown right to them by any means. So props to him. But yeah, we got to see what Cunningham can do first. So, but what are your thoughts on what his impact will be for the remainder of the season and going into the postseason?
You gotta love it. I mean, he was, when someone hits the waiver wire, I'm sure every NFL's fan base is like this on Twitter, but everyone and their mother on Titans Twitter thinks they're getting every fucking free agent, everyone who's released, us included. We wanted Odell, we wanted Golden Tate, you got Golden Tate, and we wanted Clowney, we got Clowney, we wanted Dupree, we got Dupree. So, obviously when his name hits the waiver wire, you're like, oh fuck, it would be nice, but I didn't think he'd fall that far. So maybe there's some sort of character issue that people wanted to pass on him for, and Vrabel, he's familiar with him, so he felt like he could relate to him, coach him. I don't know, I don't care. We have him. We have added depth now at the position, and it's not that it's added depth where it's like, yeah, it's a 33-year-old Golden Tate. It is a young stud of a linebacker. And I remember distinctly the episode of Busted with the Boys, shout him out, no free shout outs, where Derrick Henry was on it. And they were talking about playing the Texans and how much of a fucking freak athlete he is. And Luan was talking about him. Henry was talking about him. And they had nothing but, great things to say about his play on the field. So, I mean, with the way our offense seems like it can't really get in a groove at the moment, not because it's not for a reason, and I want to touch on that later because I'm getting a little tired of a lot of the slander our offense is getting. But we're going to need our defense in every which way possible, especially in the December and January months. So I love it. Hopefully we can keep them moving forward as well. What do you guys think?
Sure.
You really touched it on everything. So there's really not much besides saying, grabbing the NFL tackle leader and at a cheap waiver wire price in December is huge. And you're pairing it up with hopefully a healthy David Long and getting Bud Dupree back and adding him to this defense, or even rotating him at defense. It's absolutely huge for the playoff push right now. So even retaining him, I think everything will be fine because he is Rabel's boy too, and everything will be fine, I think.
Yeah, definitely a few mistakes were made by the media by bringing his name up before he would be active on the roster. If you guys heard, Mike Vrabel kind of lost it and stormed off the set when asked about him. But it appears all signs are pointing to him being activated this coming week. So we'll be able to see him ramped up in practices and see his athleticism and what he's capable of. I mean, it's going to be really good. He's an incredible run stopper. So again, kudos to John Robinson for somehow pulling that off, even though wasn't a lot that he did. I mean, he had to fall to us and somehow he did. So it's a great situation to be in. And hopefully, we're going to need a lot of help as poorly as Pittsburgh's been playing, who our next opponent will be. Heinz Field is a tough place to play at, and they are as desperate comes. So adding a guy like that to the roster is certainly going to vamp up a defense that's already on cloud nine right now. So we'll see how that progresses throughout the coming days. Moving on from that, Vin, you said you wanted to touch on our offense a little bit more, and I'll gladly do it because, I got a few words.
We know that.
From what I gathered, you don't think that essentially the offense deserves as much criticism as they're getting. Why don't you elaborate on that a little first?
I mean, I was thinking about it a lot yesterday, and I agree. Todd Downing has not been, a godsend of an offensive coordinator. And we were spoiled with Arthur Smith because nobody thought he was going to be shit. He was a no-name tight ends coach. He's been with us forever. We hired him, and he turned out to be a hell of an offensive coordinator. And with a lackluster roster in Atlanta, he's stringing together what could be a 500 team for them. So, we were spoiled with him. So, obviously, Downing is a downgrade. Pun completely intended. But you got to look at it from top to bottom, gentlemen. Tannehill, our offense is very different than what it was last year. And I'm even talking about not only the offensive line. AJ was the only receiver still there. We lost Jonnu. We lost Khalif Raymond, who is playing well in Detroit. We are mixing and matching at the offensive line. We lost pound for pound maybe one of the best players in the NFL. His name doesn't even need to be said. I don't even like talking about it. It gets me upset, but we lost him as well. So this offense has not been on the same page with all the 11 players. It is, I don't want to make excuses for him, but going into the season, we had a bunch of new players on offense. Not only that, our best player got hurt, and we can't get in a groove because of that. So when people want to, shit on Tannehill and shit on, whoever else, I'm kind of like, let's take a step back and realize that the last few years we had continuity within the offense. We had a lot of the same personnel. We had the same coordinator. Now we have a new coordinator, a lackluster offensive line that's getting rotated in and out every week. We have fucking different players playing different positions. Our receiving core, I mean, it speaks for itself. I mean, Julio's been hurt. AJ's been hurt. We're calling up practice squad players. We have a 3-year-old Golden Tate that can't even get called up to the roster yet. We're rotating running backs. It's just like, give it a fucking rest with some of the hate that our offense gets. It is beyond tough to make up for what we've lost from top to bottom, coordinators, personnel, the whole nine. So, I mean, when Henry was around, they were still putting up a lot of points. I think obviously it all revolves around him. But like, I'm getting a little tired of everyone shitting on our offense when, it's not for no reason. There is a good reason why we are struggling. And, I just, because if Henry comes back and Julio and AJ are healthy and we start fucking rolling, the narrative is going to change overnight. You know what I mean? So I want to give it a rest with hating on the offense a little bit. So that's just how I feel. I know you two feel a little different. So I'll let you guys dive in and, say exactly the opposite of what I said.
Jared, you go ahead.
Go ahead, so. You got a lot to say about the offense. Right
Yeah.
now,
So my issue is just more so the lack of creativity. You could say what you want about the skill players that are missing, but even when we had them out there, there's things that good offenses do that we just don't do. One of which being we don't take a single damn shot down the field ever. And it's just something that bothers me personally. Now, I know you don't need to throw down the field to win, but there's a lot of good things that happen when you throw down the field, right? Obviously, when you have guys like AJ Brown and Julio Jones on the field, the likelihood that you're going to be able to connect on a long deep pass are good. But no matter who's out there, you throw a deep pass, especially nowadays, your odds of getting a PI call are through the roof with how fucking piss poor these officiating quote unquote talents are that we have out in the field for the NFL. Just a lot of good things happen. It helps out your run game, knowing that the defense has to always keep their eye on a downfield pass. And it looks like Downing just doesn't have any intentions at all of doing any kind of big play unless you're giving it to Derrick Henry up the middle or doing a screen pass that goes for 40-plus yards. So that's a concern of mine heading into these important weeks. Just creativity, flea flickers work for us. They've been working for us for a very long time. And it seems like we do them like maybe once every 3 weeks. Look at a team like New England. They're doing flea flickers every fucking week, and it's working for them. And that's why they're the number one seed in the NFL. They don't have any superstars on the offensive side of the ball, but they're doing what's necessary to win. And I think
I agree with you. And I just pulled this up really quick because, I want to, prove my point a little further that before Henry went down, aside from week 1, which we know is a fucking anomaly, put up 33 against Seattle, 25 against the Colts, 24 against the Jets, 37 against the Jags, 34 against the Bills, 27 against the Chiefs. So when and then the following week when our boy went down, 34 against the Colts again. And then without him the next week, 28. So I don't want to make it seem like a lot of people are like, we're scoring 14 points a game. We have the capability at full health to put up points. The health hasn't been there. The production's declined. Sal, I agree with you. We are lacking creativity. I think Downing is a little gun shy because we don't have the personnel. If you really want to touch on creativity, and I've been saying it for weeks now amongst, my groups of friends, when AJ comes back, we need to use him the way San Francisco uses Deebo Samuel. They are a very similar skill set. You need to use him in reverses, bubble screens, whatever the fuck else. Let him return a punt. I don't care. We need to get the ball in his hands more often. He has a very similar skill set as Deebo Samuel. And, I agree. The creativity hasn't been there, but all those numbers I rattled off, we are completely capable of putting up 20, 30 plus points a game when we're at full health. So, obviously, a good coordinator, you want to see make it work when the personnel is not exactly there. But when saying we are thin is an understatement. You know what I mean? Where against New England, we were rolling with Cody Hollister and, NWI, who's actually been, solid. But like even our running backs, if you would have told, I wouldn't be able to tell you who the fuck Dontrell Hilliard or Deontay. I know who Dante Foreman was last year because he's on our team, but all these backs we're using, I mean, like these receivers, it's like they're not household names by any means. So when the health is there, the production has been there. So, if we get healthy, we'll be all right. So, I just don't want the naysayers when time comes around and we're healthy to, start, flip the script on it when they're just, shitting on, our offense every which way right now.
We're not like saying that. I understand where you're coming from too, but the whole thing is like what me and Sal are saying, and we're agreeing with each other, is the lack of creativity here. When Henry went down, we played the Rams the following week. We scored 28 points and we looked pretty decent. I mean, there was drives.
All because of field position, by the way.
Yes, we
right.
well two. All right, so two defensive touchdowns I'll give them on the interceptions. But they moved the ball a little bit on them. But like the creativity is where it is. Like this one, I saved this tweet. On our 4 losses, we're averaging almost 10% of our plays on play action. All the rest of the wins, we're above 35%. So like, where's the play action like we used to have in years past, 2 years? I'm having conversations and arguments on Twitter with people. God forbid, like I said to you before the show, God forbid we throw a fade in the red zone to Nick Westbrook-Akina or Julio Jones. Like, why can't we do that? I'm not throwing a 40-yard bomb like everyone's trying to say. Just get creative and throw the ball up.
Yeah, and my problem lies, just to wrap this up, is the cut and dry decisions that are going the opposite way over the past couple of weeks. And I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but I'll go back to the game against New England. We're running a ball at 10 yards a clip. We're down 5 points in the second half, and we throw 3 straight times to guys who barely have 10 NFL games under their belt. And then we punt the ball, and that was pretty much the end of it. These are things that, I understand it's easy to be a coordinator on your couch, but a lot of these arguments are so cut and dry that it just baffles my mind. The 3rd and 8 draw play yesterday that's
atrocious.
Made no sense at all. And of course, the people who like to quote unquote dick ride, because that's really what they do. Everyone in the organization, and they can do no wrong. They go back to the play against New England. I guess it was a 3rd down when we gave the draw play to Hilliard that went to the house.
Yeah.
Doesn't fucking matter to me. This is the NFL. Look at the statistics. A lot of teams don't do draw plays on 3rd and longs, and it's not because they typically work. It's because it's just not what typically happens. You're not supposed to do that. Maybe one time in a while it'll work. But
or at least spread the formation. How you're almost in a tight bunch set, and of course the run's coming.
Yeah, I mean, there's just been too many instances over this season where, and I alluded to this on Twitter yesterday, where you just say to yourself, "Well, damn, that was a really bad drive. That was a really bad possession by the Titans," and those are the things that worry me down the stretch. And I don't want to hound on the guy too much, but I've been saying it for a while now. I think a lot of the success that has been going on offensively with the Titans has been in spite of the play calling, not because of it. Again, when you have the best player on earth in your backfield, it helps a lot of things out. And I still believe there's more points to be scored. I mean, there's a lot of talent on this football team, even with the lack of depth at tight end, where we should be able to do a lot more things than we're doing. So we'll see how that finishes up. The good news is we're in a great position. It's not like we need to figure something out immediately or we're going to miss our chance to get into the dance. It looks like, I believe after the win yesterday, we're at 99% for the postseason. So obviously,
we're making the playoffs.
Yeah,
barring some unforeseen shit.
Yeah, but again, like these past 2 losses, I think were so easily winnable with just a little bit more intelligence with guys with headsets on.
But that's the NFL, though. I mean, that's the NFL, though. The difference between a 6-10 team and a 10-6 team is fucking this. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's minuscule, and I always say the difference between a 10-6 team and 6-10 team is coaching. You know what I mean? So we're fortunate to have Vrabel at the helm, and I mean, Downing's been dog shit. But you know, we've been spoiled. Let's not get it twisted.
Oh yeah,
you know. Yeah. Like me and Jared put it on Insta today. You know, since John Robinson took over, 6 winning seasons. You know, 3 playoff appearances. You know, 2 of those years we made pretty deep runs.
A division title.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, we've been a little spoiled. So
a lot of that has to do with 22, though. You know, you just gotta be honest. You know, you don't have Derrick Henry. He doesn't have 6 consecutive winning seasons without Derrick Henry. There's no way around it. And he struck gold.
Well, Derrick Henry barely played his first 2 years in the league too. Remember, we had DeMarco Murray. Henry didn't really carry the workload until his 3rd year.
Yeah,
his coming out party was that Jacksonville game, where he had that 99-yard run.
Yeah, and you know they were 9-7 the first 2. You know, winning season to winning season. Don't get me wrong, and I'm sure fans of Detroit and fans of Atlanta. I mean, they'd be like, yeah, dude, fuck yourself, man. You're giving me you're crying the blues with 9-7 when we're lucky to get 5 wins each year. I get that. But just quickly to get back to this year, this is the year. This is the year. This is it. Yeah, folks.
I agree.
If you want to win a championship as a Titans fan, it's this year. The AFC is all over the fucking place. The NFC has no one really that just is like, fuck, they are definitely making the Super Bowl. Every team has flaws. Every team has bad losses. Every team is beatable this year. And one thing that no one has seen yet, realistically, is a fully healthy, or at least not 80% healthy Tennessee Titan team. And that's why all of our fans are saying it, and they have every right to say it. When we are healthy, we are the best team in football.
Absolutely.
But, and there's a big but, you can have all the talent in the world. If you ain't doing the right thing with them, it means absolutely nothing. And that's what we need to hope for. And that's what I am hoping for. We're all hoping for, that, you know, the I's get dotted and the T's get crossed, because the talent's there to go all the way, and we just got to do it. So moving forward, starting with Pittsburgh this week, we're going to get more defensive pieces there, hopefully.
You know, Dupree's playing this week.
Yeah, he's got to be chomping at the bit. So
is Long. I honestly think Long's going to play too. I think they just sat him out for Jacksonville for anticipation for the long run right now. So
we'll see. I mean, he's
that could have been part of the Cunningham signing as well. Not to cut you off, so I mean, they might, you know, lack a little confidence in, you know, maybe his injury is a little worse than we thought. And Cunningham, you know, is one hell of an insurance policy. You know, I hope that's not the case, because Long is another. I see I'm just smiling right now, thinking of the athleticism between Cunningham and Long on the field at the same time. I mean,
it's going to be insane.
We got to see about Long. I mean, he didn't practice at all last week, so, you know, it might be tough to get him in this week. I mean, it would have been good to see him maybe limited last week. He didn't practice at all, so we got to see how that transpires. We don't want to rush him. He's a pivotal piece of his defense. So, all right, another thing we want to touch on real quick, a very, very big game for playoff implications for the Titans is this upcoming battle between the Colts and the Patriots. A lot of people have a lot of mixed emotions on who they want to root for. In my opinion, it's pretty cut and dry, but I want to hear from you two first. Jarrett, give us your thoughts, and I believe it should be pretty similar to what mine are.
I really honestly think you have to root for the Colts here. I mean, pulling up both schedules, rest of the way out. You got the Patriots, got the Bills, the Colts, the Jaguars, Miami, besides the Bills, which possibly can give them, you know, a tough game, which I really thought the Bills should win the last game. In my opinion, it's a cakewalk for them the rest of the way. And with Indianapolis beating them, which gets us back into the 1 seed. Indy's got Arizona, which is a huge game. Oakland, you don't know what Raider team is going to show up. So, you know, they can have a loss there too. And then you have the cakewalk in the Jaguars. So I really think that you have to bite your tongue here as Titan fans and really, you know, root for the Colts here to get us back on top, and then we control our destiny on the way out.
Yeah, Vin?
You don't have to bite your tongue. You don't have to bite your tongue. It's completely normal to, as me and Mr. Manfredi said, you don't be a fucking Momo, all right? I know it's the Colts. It's a division rival, but don't be a fucking Momo. Let your pride get in the way. It's a division rival. We beat their ass twice this year, so we need this one seed more than Sal needs his taste and smell back right now. So yeah.
pretty much back.
Good. Glad to hear. Because not being able to taste your father's gravy is a fucking curse from the fucking deepest depths of hell.
Even worse is not tasting my own, which is better. But I hope he didn't hear that. Anyway,
don't worry. I'm sure he'll hear one way or another.
Yeah.
His ears just rang for sure. But yeah,
his recipe though.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if Indianapolis was a game behind us, you know what I mean, or tied with us, I'd be a little more apt to say, you know what, fuck it, like we need the division. I don't want a wild card. Let's root for the Pats. You know what I mean? Even though they're the 1 seed, you know what I mean. But the case is that we have a 2-game lead in the division. We could regain the 1 seed if they beat the Pats. And I know they're division rival, but we beat them twice this year. There's nothing to be like, upset about by rooting for them. We need this 1 seed. We saw what, a bye week could do for us. We came back rejuvenated, motivated, healthy. And if we could do that, I want to give Derrick Henry as much as time as fucking possible. So
exactly.
I think it's a pretty easy answer. We need the Indianapolis Colts to win. And not only that, I think they will. I think Indianapolis is a tough team right now, and New England is rolling, but guess what? They're not going to win out. They're not. They're talented, but they're not that talented. And eventually it catches up with you. And I think, Indy will take care of business. Where's the game being played?
I believe it's in New England.
Okay, it's in New England. Well,
yeah,
either way, it's a very winnable game for the Colts, and we need them to win. So
no, it's at Indianapolis.
It's at Indianapolis. So
and it's a Saturday night primetime game as well. So that place is going to be jammed.
Yeah. Well, we know Carson Wentz likes to shit his pants a little bit sometimes and during the big lights. I'm a Philly guy, so I know that more than most. I mean, he very talented guy, but it seems like when the bright lights are on him, he seems to piss down his leg a little bit, as that guy likes to say on Instagram. But very winnable game for them. New England is they're not going to win out, and they won 7-8 straight now. I mean, they're due for a loss. So we need Indy to win. I think they will win.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's cut and dry. I mean, if you want to win a championship, this is the best year the Titans have winning a championship, in my opinion, since I've been a diehard now. I guess you can say around 15 years ish, or a little more maybe, but this is it. This is the year, and you need to buy it. An injury-ridden team needs the least amount of games to get to the Super Bowl, and by doing that, it is by winning the number 1 seed. And if you want to win a number 1 seed, you need the Colts to win this game. So yeah, I think there's a very good chance they do. If there's ever an example of how coaching is so influential of how a team wins, it's the Patriots. Again, I mean, they're pretty solid defensively, but they're nothing, to write home about offensively, and they continue to win because they're very well coached and they take care of the football, not many dumb penalties. But I think in this situation, at some point, talent's going to outwit coaching, and this might be the game that does it. Indianapolis is very sound on both sides of the ball. They got arguably one of the best running backs in the league. They've had a takeaway now, and I believe 14 straight games, I think, something crazy like that. I just read they take the ball away at will. So I think they will win, and it's going to tremendously help Tennessee, especially if they handle business in Pittsburgh. So, I think it's a no-brainer. And this whole shtick about how it's a rivalry and boo-hoo, I'm not going to root for the Colts. Listen, Colts have absolutely fucked us for fucking 10 years. I mean, in order for there to be a rivalry, it's okay if you are upset that the Colts have shit on us so long, so you don't want them to win, but don't cry rivalry, because there's been no rivalry. Okay, the Colts have owned us for the better part of a decade.
More than that, 2 decades. Peyton
Manning, look, yeah, they bent us over so many times. I mean, we probably have a fucking Colts logo branded on our ass from how many times we've been pounded by them. So the rivalry argument makes no sense to me. It would make more sense if it was a team like Baltimore. I can understand that.
I fucking hate Baltimore.
We've been back and forth with them so many times. There's bad blood and whatnot. The only bad blood with the Colts is that fucking Reggie Wayne was in our fucking on our street saying how many times they ruined us at the draft. Other than that, there's no bad blood, because up until this year we have barely been able to beat them. So
Pat McAfee got pretty good in the draft.
He did as well.
So that was good. But I'll give him that. That was funny. Even I giggled at that.
Yeah, he's a funny dude. So yeah, definitely Colts all the way. You got to do it if you want to really win a chip. And we'll see how that plays out. We'll see how that plays out for sure.
It's all for nothing if we don't win. You know what I mean? Like, because guess what? If we fucking lose and they win, then they got a game up on us. We have to play San Fran on a short week, and Indy's one of the hottest teams in the league. So yes, we need them to win, but it's all for nothing if we don't take care of business ourselves. And the Titans never like to make it easy on their fans. So in a perfect world, Indy will take care of business. We'll take care of business, regain the 1 seed, maintain our 2-game lead. But that's why we go to church on Saturday night and Sunday morning, Joe.
Yeah, and don't forget another thing, real quick, before we close out is. The New England's not people believe that New England's the only team got to worry about if we want to get the number 1 seed. That is incorrect, folks. You got to worry about the Chiefs.
Kansas City's.
You got to worry about the Chiefs. Just because we have the tiebreaker, that ain't gonna mean shit if they got an extra win than us, folks. So there's more parts of this puzzle that need to fit into place before we can possibly regain this seed. The start of it would be the Colts winning. And then you got to hope that Kansas City can get a loss here and there, and we got to win out. I think we can still do it with one more loss out of the last 4, but realistically, if you control your own destiny, unless New England wins out, which I think is very unlikely. So you got to get 3 out of 4. And
Kansas City has a tough stretch too. They got the Chargers, Pittsburgh, the Bengals, and Denver. So they got the hardest stretch out of anybody. So.
They're the hottest team in the NFL now, though. So it's definitely possible. Likely, you can make an argument if whether it's likely or not, but it's certainly possible because their defense is actually playing above average now, let alone below bad, which they were before. They were absolutely terrible, and now they're playing above average. So we will see how that goes. Moving forward, I'll quickly touch on, and you guys can close out. Things we want to see in Pittsburgh. I want to see some shots down the field. Defensively, do exactly what you're doing. You're doing a phenomenal job. Bowen is really Bowen's just been very consistent. He's had a couple duds, but all in all has made the best of what he's had. But offensively, I want to see some more creativity and, give Tannehill a fucking couple seconds to drop back. And we'll see. We'll see what we got. Julio seems to be 100% now or damn near close to it. He showed a little, knock on wood. I don't know why I keep being a fucking jinx here, but he showed a little disappointment with his lack of snaps yesterday, which was good to see.
Good. Yeah, exactly. Good.
I understand why they had him on account. Wasn't upset about it.
Definitely.
But yeah, let's get ramped up. This Pittsburgh team is not very good, and really, well, just a little bit of offensive production, we should have our way with them, and we should be able to run on them. It's going to be cold. What do you guys want to see super quick before we close out in Pittsburgh this coming Sunday?
Definitely running the ball right down their throat and pressure Big Ben. That guy can't get out of his own way, so we bring that force with him. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I echo both of what you guys said defensively. Roethlisberger, love him, great career, but it's been done for him. The end of last year bled into this year. I think we need to put pressure on him. Offensively, I agree, Sal, a little more creativity. I want to see Golden Tate on the field this week, personally. It's easy for us to say, what the fuck, hasn't he been on the field? Maybe he's getting in shape. Maybe he's still learning the playbook. We don't want to put him out there prematurely and, God forbid, risk him getting hurt or having his inability in knowing the offense getting somebody else hurt. I want to see him get on the field a little bit. Return a kick. Fuck it. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? I want to see some more creativity with the offense, like Sal said, run it down their throat, and we need this win. We need this win. Because I'll tell you what, we get San Fran the week after that, and they're playing good fucking football, man. Kittle's
tough defense.
Yeah, tough defense, extremely well coached. They run the ball. God, I feel like you could plug and play all 3 of us and we can get some fucking yards as a running back, because they have running backs out the ass. I don't even know who they are every week, but Shanahan's got a hell of a scheme. So, our next 2 games are winnable, but they're no fucking gimme. So we need to take care of business this week, because, next week, I think we're going to have on a short week as well, a tough one against San Francisco. So, yeah, take care of business, put pressure on Big Ben, and, get out of there fucking happy, healthy, and with a W. Yeah. And to touch real quick on your Golden Tate statement, I agree. Get him out there. I mean, there's a lot of people on Twitter that are just let him get his feet wet. You know what I mean? Like, fucking let him play gunner on specialties. I don't care. Let him
Chester Rogers.
There's no plethora of riches at wide receiver, folks. He's I believe he's 32 or 33. He's not 70. All right. Listen, he's hungry to play. Either play him or cut him. Like he's not a guy that deserves to be on a practice squad, even at his age. He's had enough, he's not enough production in this league that if you're gonna bring him in, make him sleep nights in Nashville, he should be on the fucking field. It's not like you got a plethora of riches that you're giving shots to, and he's the last on the totem pole. Like he deserves a shot. We're getting Tannehill's under 300 yards passing the last 2 weeks. Like, come on now, get him out there. What do you got to lose, for Christ's sake? So we'll see how that goes. Real quick before we go, should have done this in the beginning, but I forgot. Any way you watch this, YouTube, podcast platforms, whatnot, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, help us. We want to grow and we need your help to do that. So we're gonna head out now. We got another great, important, good game on the road coming up. Another chance for more momentum. Another chance to make a statement in the AFC. It's a tough place to play, no matter how poorly Pittsburgh's been playing. So. And they're desperate as desperate gets. So let's get another win, and let's just see how things transpire. It's December football. It's the most important time of the year in this league, and if we want to be what we claim to be, even despite still having some injuries, you got to take care of business. And this is the first step. It's the first game that's has a little bit of resistance. Obviously, there's no resistance from the Jags. So let's get out there. Let's take care of business, and that's it. As always, baby. Tighten up.
Tighten up.
Let's go. Peace.